spoken previously about the bold ambitions of FIFA, trying to get $1 billion for completely untested, unproven product. They've hit that number with their partnership with DAZN. Whether or not we think that's maybe the best decision, that's still up for debate. And one of the things we did talk about at the time is we anticipated a lot of sub-licensing deals. It wasn't exclusive for DAZN. We've seen in the US, TNT Sports have, gotten a sub-licensing deal with DAZN to be able to cover that in the US. But in the UK, home of the Premier League, people get upset if you want to, arguably the most, popular sports league in the world, potentially, at least definitely in the world of soccer itself. And the two biggest free-to-air broadcasters, BBC and ITV, have basically come out and said, we will not be bidding for the FIFA Club World Cup, which for me, I think is significant, Nick, in the sense of new product, reaches paramount. I think one of the most interesting statistics is, in America, it's something like what, Nick? Usually about 85 to 90 of the most watch sports events or watch TV events or sports, and they're all free to air. And I think historically the UK is usually only about like 10 or 15 of the most watched sports are free to air. And they all tend to be when the World Cup is on or when the Euros are on. And that's when it's on the BBC or ITV, not Premier League games that are on Sky. So yeah, I think I imagine a deal will get sorted in the UK. It may still even be BBC or ITV, but I do think being on free to air for the inaugural Club World Cup is surely something that needs to happen.
It's an interesting storyline, mainly because they're actually coming out and saying they're not willing to bid and vie for it. And I've been trying to mull over why they would even come out with that sort of messaging. And my guess, and this is all a guess here, we like to guess and speculate here, this is what we do, is that they're being demanded to be paying a rights fee. And for anything that's unproven these days, those types of platforms just aren't really willing to put any serious money on the table. I do think there's probably a challenge with also from BBC's perspective on how visible another broadcaster will be, i.e. DAZN, because they'll be probably doing the lion's share of the broadcast production and have their brand. I'm guessing the deal would be ingesting or taking the production direct kind of from DAZN rather than like adding. The expectation wouldn't be to add all its own overlay of production, the BBC touch, let's say, to it, the extra hosts and everything on top. They would just be looking to take the feed fairly directly. It would be the proposition. And they're probably not comfortable with that. I think I have heard and seen that being an issue previously for the BBC when they've had other sort of sub-licensing deals come to the fore. So I think that could play a bit of a role there. And I just think fundamentally when it's unproven, which is the Club World Cup is, even as enticing it is, I can't think of a situation where in the last decade where BBC has acquired a set of rights for a fairly premium sports property, definitely without a media rights price tag attached to it. So it's surprising that the messaging has come out. I'm not really sure. Might just be some good reporting that's basically asked the right people the right questions, and they've actively said that. I haven't read the articles where it's come from originally, but that might be why that sort of message came out in the mainstream media in the UK. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see who ends up picking that up. Obviously, Channel 4 is still a very commercial organisation with a free-to-air reach available to it, and there's obviously your more traditional players like Warner Brothers Discovery and Sky Sports and alike that could still make a play for that mass reach side of things. So we'll have to wait and see.
And on the flip side, if you're DAZN, how concerning is this? Granted, we're talking about one single market as a part of a global deal. It's not like they don't have other deals in place. You already said they've secured one in the US, which, just one of the biggest markets out there. How much of their success is going to be based on what they can successfully do from a sub-licensing perspective, and if this becomes a more common trend?
Well, you got to think, right? Remember how late this deal was done? It's only announced a few months ago. It took quite a lot of time for the FIFA to finally find someone that would basically back the project to the level it wanted. And who knows the real reasons for it. Maybe DAZN think its value is as they've paid for it. Lots speculate that with all the money coming from Saudi Arabia and other investments, and the fact that the World Cup's basically set to be in the kingdom in the future, there's a lot of people speculating as to how and why this decision was made. But let's just, on good faith, say that DAZN thought this was worth the amount of money they're putting on the table. They've only got a few months then to maximize its value of the rights they have. And there's no way they'd be able to do that purely through using their own channels wholly and solely. So from what I'm hearing is that they're basically working frantically, basically like a good old-fashioned media rights agency, going market to market. And think about how many markets there are in the world, selling to each and every country's set of broadcasters to try and maximize the revenue opportunity and the reach of it. Now, there's no doubt there's a mandate from FIFA as well to make sure it's the Club World Cup is in as many places as possible. And there's also a mandate, no doubt, from DAZN to make sure they maximize the revenue opportunity. So, there's probably, I don't know, they've got this set up in the DAZN offices, but there's probably like $1 billion price tag, and they're chopping it down every deal they've done. And then at the end, hopefully they go past that 0 point and they can have some nice profit at the other end of it. But it's a grind. They've got to go to 200 markets. What I'm hearing is that all of the top senior people are going out to market and literally going out one by one to the broadcasters selling these rights and trying to get deals done right across the world. So a lot of work to be done before this tournament kicks off, but they're well on the way with some really good deals. And no doubt, doing a deal with like Warner Brothers Discovery in the US is a great starting point, but expect to see just a host of new announcements coming flooding over the next couple of months as they finalize those deals before the big event.